everyone, I'm Carly of Gnarly Gaming, and today I'm talking about a game that is currently crowdfunding on Kickstarter. Today I am talking about Broken Planet. In Broken Planet, the planet is fracturing, and the gods have decided to spare only one tribe to allow this world to heal. What that means is that players play as rival tribes pitted against each other to earn the gods' favor. They do so by scouring the different islands on this fractured planet, collecting gemstones, and using them to build both temples and to craft relics in order to win the gods' favor. But what really makes this game interesting is that it is a dance of hidden movement. Players will use compasses to select where they are headed next, and if another player can accurately figure out where they're going, anticipate that move, and use resources to attack them, they can deplete some of their opponent's resources and even steal some of their relics for themselves. The game lasts a set number of rounds based on the player count from 2 to 5 players and will hover around 90 minutes. At the end of the game, players will compare all of their favor earned from crafted relics and temples they've built to see who is the most favored amongst them all, and only that tribe will survive slaughter. In each round of the game, players will take turns being the offering player, the one who is building temples and crafting relics using their gemstones in order to gain the favor of the gods. However, during that time, when it is the offering player's turn, everyone else is still taking a movement-based turn, using their compass to choose where they'd like to scavenge. While scavenging players are deciding where to move across the board, the offering player will make their decision. If crafting relics, they can spend a number of gemstones based on the relic type and earn that relic, essentially earning favor based on the types. There's emerald relics, sapphire relics, and diamond relics, each getting progressively more impressive to the gods in earning their favor. The offering player can also build temples on their island. Each island can have up to 3 temples, and when a player visits these temples, they get the gemstone resource depicted on the temple. So players are building these on the board so that they may utilize them, but their opponents will be able to utilize them as well. And once they put the temple on the board, they'll not only gain the corresponding favor listed on the player board below it, but they will also be able to use a special ability that it affords them, and them uniquely. So while when you place a temple on the board, it becomes a universal asset in terms of gem collection, it uniquely helps you. Now perhaps I can travel to hazardous terrain, or I get extra points, or I can attack you better. Which brings us to the next step in a turn. A player who made an offering will now have a chance to anticipate where their opponents went. They set their dials, they determined where they're going, all of the islands being numbered, and now for each ruby that a player spends, they can choose a location to attack. If players were on an attacked island, they still get to go there. They still get to collect resources that would be there, but then they have to throw away half their resources rounded down and give a relic of the offering player's choosing to them. This can greatly increase your favor for very little cost if you can successfully pinpoint where your opponents will be, and it really pushes all players to kind of suboptimal plays. Perhaps there's an island that has all of the resources I need, but people can see my player board and know that I'm likely going for it. And so I have to choose, do I risk it, or do I try to go somewhere else and collect resources, perhaps a little slower, in order to protect the things I do have now and not give up my crafted relics. So all in all, each round kind of flows through each player being the offering player, being able to build temples and relics, having their opponents choose where to go, while they choose then where to attack. Then they reveal where they're going, they get resources from it, and if they were successfully attacked, they have to deplete their resources and hand over a relic. There's very little downtime for anyone at the table, and it flows really smoothly. In each round of the game, players will take turns being the offering player, and then the round marker will move on. Once it reaches the last space on the round track, it is the last offering. This is the chance that every player has to build temples and craft relics as much as they can right before the gods judge them, and then they will compare favor from their temples and their relics and see who the gods choose to survive. If there's a tie in favor points, each tribe that had the highest favor is smiled upon by the gods and is spared from slaughter. For me, I thought this game was incredibly well done. It's super rules light on the outset, but there's so much depth in the player board and abilities you can unlock. Each person will have their player board and actually has to unlock the special abilities from the inside out. And so you're kind of set down different trajectories on different branches, and one is a more attack favored, some can be actually benefits for being passive, and how a person kind of collects resources in the beginning will instantly push them in a strategy direction. Now I'm being more attacking, now I'm more passive, now I specifically want this kind of thing to keep myself safe. And the various abilities you can gives depth to the game and a lot of variety. There's not a optimal strategy you can necessarily go for because you want to kind of play suboptimally to avoid being caught. And so there's this beautiful dance and growth that we all had during our play, and being able to like meta each other and try to get around where people knew we were. It was just really charming and lovely. The last game I played, I was pretty passive, but someone else was extremely aggressive, and they actually unlocked abilities that made it harder for us to move around the board. And so they could really pigeonhole us, but I was able to unlock something that just gave me more points for the things I had already done. And so though they stole most of my relics to acquire their points, I was able to build up in other ways. And I just think it's very elegant in its simplicity and a lot of fun. And I extra adore the lack of downtime. They call it simultaneous player decisions because while someone's doing the offering, other people are choosing. When we played, that wasn't always true. A lot of times we let them do their offering. We kind of wanted to pay attention to what they were doing. Then we picked, then they attacked. But even still, downtime was incredibly minimal. And so you're really engaged throughout. You kind of feel that tension throughout. You're kind of waiting to see where they'll be and what they'll do and where they'll go and how it'll affect you. And it's really stinking joyful. We liked this one. If I had to pick a favorite part of the game, it would be acquiring all of the special abilities through building your temples. It shoots you in a different direction. It gives you more options throughout the game, and it's just a really phenomenal build that's super easy to grasp. Because you're going along these branches and you don't have access to the other powers on the outside, you're really only contending with a handful of choices and directions that you can go, and some will be more intuitive just because of the resources you'll be able to collect. If something costs mostly diamonds, another thing costs mostly emeralds, and I have a lot of diamonds, I'm going to go for the one initially with diamonds. But as the course of the game develops, then I can start to pay attention to what the next things would give me and what I want to collect. It feeds itself just so very nicely. And honestly, the only complaint I have is the player tokens. Some people might like them. We're playing as tribes, so we all are given an animal. This is the snake one, but they all kind of have a very humanoid, really shredded and ripped body with an animal head, but it doesn't look like a headdress head, so it's just this awkward humanoid snake with an 8-pack, and I don't dig it. I don't know. The 8-pack snake kind of freaks me out, but that is truly my biggest complaint. I think it's a joyful game. I think it's one that will hit our table quite a bit. It's easy for approachable game nights and family game nights, but there's a lot there. So in a nutshell, that is Broken Planet by Pigeon Games, currently on Kickstarter till March 3rd. If you have any additional questions about the game, I'd be thrilled to answer them in the comments below. And otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you for the next one.